Okay, so in today's video we've got another quiz, but this time it's next level difficult. I think it's more than C2, really. It's really, really hard. There's some really difficult vocab here. There's only 10 questions, but they're really difficult to answer, so I'm not sure how long it's going to take, and I'm not sure I'm going to get all the right answers. I've had a look at the questions to have a think about them, but I'm not really sure. Okay, let's have a look then. So, first question. The first 5 questions are like this. We have 3 sentences, and they give you 2 words, and you have to decide, well, where those words go. So, maybe the same word goes in each 3 sentences. Maybe it's a combination of the 2 in different... We'll see anyway. Anyway, the 2 words we're given in question 1 are abrogate and abjure. So that's really technical sort of language there. And the 3 sentences... Okay, let's have a look at the first sentence. It says, we felt that the board was trying to abrogate or abjure its responsibility to its shareholders. Well, okay, I think abrogate means... Isn't it the same as like to repeal something? So it's like when you officially take something away. And abjure, I think, is like when you give something up. Like you hand it over, or maybe like renounce it. When you renounce something. So it's responsibility. I think abrogate is maybe a synonym of remove as well. So like get rid of something. I think I'd go with abrogate in the first. So A in 1, I think. The king ordered the visitor from distant lands to abrogate, abjure his religion, or be imprisoned for life. So I think 2 would be abjure. Yeah, you abjure your religion, like you reject it, you renounce it, and it's not the same as abrogate, that you remove it, you take it away. It's that particularly with religion, I think we say abjure. So you like officially say that you no longer believe in that religion. So that they don't imprison you. I think it would be A, B. Okay, and then number 3, the controversial bill that proposed to abrogate the right or abjure the right to strike among factory workers faced stiff resistance from the trade unions. Okay, so a bill that is presented in Parliament, if that goes through and becomes law, it would like remove the right of the factory workers to go on strike. So I think that would be abrogate. So do we have a combination here which is abrogate, abjure, abrogate? So it would be A, B, A. So of the combinations we have there, we do have that option. I'm gonna go with that. I think it's A, B, A. I think that's right. We'll check the answers at the end anyway, but I think that's correct. Abrogate, abjure, abrogate. Okay, let's move on. Number 2. Otherwise, we're never gonna finish this. So, 10 questions, but each one's gonna take like that long, or at least it takes me that long. Okay, so now we've got acquiesced or acceded. Oh, I can never remember. I don't know the difference. Okay. Although not interested at all, Raoul acquiesced or acceded to his wife's decision to go to the movie. So I think accede has 2 meanings. And acquiesce does mean that you go along with a decision. Not usually a decision, it's usually a request. If someone asks you to do something and you acquiesce, or you go along with the plan, maybe. So maybe acquiesced would work there, but wouldn't acceded work there? Acceded to his wife's Sarah's. Okay, I'm not sure. Seems like acquiesce, like he just kind of accepted it. It's like he didn't really want to go, he wasn't interested at all, but in the end, Raoul acquiesced to his wife's decision. He just went along with it. I'm inclined to say acquiesced. Okay. After several rounds of talks, the mill authorities finally to the striking workers' demands. So, I don't know if maybe acquiesced here would be too... I don't think it's quite acquiesced. Maybe, because acquiesced is like... I don't know. It's almost like you're saying, "No, go on then." I don't know. Acceded for some reason sounds better in number 2, maybe. I don't know. After several rounds of talks, the mill authorities finally acceded to the striking workers' demands. So they're demanding something. And after the talks, it's like an official decision. No, you decide to. The mill authorities acceded to them. It's like they accepted them in an official way. I don't know. I think acceded sounds better there. So far, I'm going to say A, B. King Stanislaus to the Polish throne in 1704. Okay, there's no doubt here. 3 has to be acceded. You accede to the throne. So King Stanislaus acceded to the Polish throne in 1704, replacing Augustus II. That's definitely acceded. So I think I would say A, B, B. Is that an option? I think it's the first option, no? I'm going to go with that. Who cares? I think it's acquiesced to his wife's decision, acceded to the demands, and acceded to the throne. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a look at number 3. We'll see. Okay, so we've got amenable. I'm never even sure how to pronounce that. Amenable. Amenable. I think you can pronounce it both ways. Am I right? Am I right? Amenable. Amenable sounds good. I bet there are people who say amenable. I think I know what it means as well, which is a bonus. And then amicable. That's definitely how I say that one. Amicable. Okay, so it didn't take him long to settle in his new job, as his new colleagues were most amenable to his opinions and ideas. Amicable. Well, okay, I think this one's a trick question. So normally you might say that his colleagues were amicable. No, they were polite with him and not hostile, I guess is what amicable means, really. So you might be inclined to say amicable there, but it says to his opinions and ideas, and I think amenable, if I'm pronouncing that right. I think what it means is that you sort of like they are responsive to his ideas. No, so he was giving his opinions and ideas in his new job, and people were sort of going along with it and listening to it and responding to his opinions and his ideas. So I think I'd say amenable in A. Okay, 2. Friends of the couple were relieved that their separation proceedings were not hostile, were amicable. So I think so far I'd say A, B. Yeah, the separation was amicable. We talk about an amicable separation, yeah. Okay, and fortunately the bacterium which causes strep throat, is very amenable to the influence of antibiotics. Yeah, it's not amicable. It's not that it's not hostile to the influence of antibiotics. No, it's amenable. It reacts, it responds to antibiotics. So I think I would say amenable to opinions. The proceedings, the separation was amicable, and the bacterium is amenable to antibiotics, to the influence of antibiotics. So I think ABA, if that's an option. ABA, the third option there, I think. Yeah, okay. Let's move on. Number 4. Despite tremendous pressure from various quarters, the principal stood firm in his decision and refused to... okay, so we have yield and capitulate. Wow, that's difficult. Yield, you'll see it a lot on road signs in England. Sometimes it says give way, sometimes it says yield. It means that you have to let the other traffic go. They have preference, no, so you have to yield, you have to give way. So despite tremendous pressure from various quarters, the principal stood firm in his decision and refused to, and of course, capitulate means like to give up, to surrender. I don't know which one is better there. Yield or capitulate? Refuse to yield, refuse to... Okay, so there's a lot of pressure. And he stood by... So I guess the pressure was for him to change his decision. So I guess he refused to give up. I'm inclined to say capitulate. Although, yeah. I don't know. I think it's capitulate. Okay, 2. This method will yield, capitulate, the same result, but will save some vital time. It will yield. Okay, yield in this sense is like to, figuratively, to cultivate something, no? To obtain. So this method will yield the same result. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm going to go BA. Is that... Are any of those saying BA? Yeah, the second one. So either it's none of the above or it's the second one. The yield or the capitulate, I don't think that's a noun, has been very poor this year on account of excessive rains. Okay, yeah, so here we're talking about crops, a harvest, a yield. Yeah. Yeah. The yield. So... I'm inclined to say the second option there, BAA. He refused to capitulate, he refused to give up. The method will yield the same results. No, it will cultivate the yield, the crops were poor. The yield has been poor this year on account of the rain. There was so much rain that the yield was poor. So I think I'm going to say BAA. I have a sneaky feeling that I'm getting them right. Okay, 5 to 8. These ones are ridiculously difficult. Okay, so basically what we have here is... So it's a text, like a sentence, rather. And you have 4 words that could be in the right order or they could be in the wrong order, and one of the words is wrong and needs to be replaced with another word. So we have to decide if they're in the correct order, if we need to change the order, and if we need to change the order, we need to change one of the words anyway, or all of the options are just wrong. So, okay, number 5, let's have a look. The internet is often disregarded as awash with cranks. disregarded. I think you could say regarded as awash with cranks, but disregarded? Something is disregarded, it's not looked at, but it is being looked at because people are saying it is awash with cranks. So that doesn't make sense, I don't think. Awash with cranks, so it's like saying that there's a lot of people giving fake information, false information, fake news on the internet. No, it's awash with cranks. Cranks are people who, charlatans, I suppose. But it has proved far more potent at debunking conspiracy theories than perpetuating them. That all sounds good. So the internet is actually better at dismissing, debunking conspiracy theories rather than perpetuating them. Yeah, I've often thought that everyone's worried about fake news and everything. I actually think, it's good to have things like that out in the open, isn't it? And that the internet has actually been pretty good at debunking a lot of sort of underground conspiracy theories, and the people that believe in them are always going to believe in them, aren't they? So, yeah. Anyway, what I'm missing the point here. I think the order of the sentence is right. So I think it's A, B, C, D. So, and it says we could. So if we look at the first option, A, B, C, D, disregarded for dismissed. Yeah, that's right. The internet is often dismissed as awash with cranks. People dismiss it. They say, "Oh, it's full of fake news." The internet. Yeah, I think particularly people in the past. I remember being at school and being told, "Oh, Wikipedia, it's full of nonsense." And I'm like, "Oh, right, but your encyclopedia from 1994, that's all correct, is it still?" Yeah. No. I think the first one's the correct option now. It's dismissed as awash with cranks, but it has proved far more potent at debunking conspiracy theories than perpetuating. I think that's right. Okay, 6. Okay, I recommend that you take your own lecture notes on the recover versions. Well, that's not right. So, is there an option that changes A and A stays there? Because we can pretty quickly, by process of elimination, get rid of that. Recover versions. That doesn't sound right. So we've got A, B, C, D, A, C, B, D, but they don't change recover. So I don't think the first two options are correct. Okay, I recommend you take your own lecture notes on the versions of the printed notes. Perhaps with extra paper and then the notes neatly at a time, abridged after the lecture. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I think I can decide very quickly that the first two options are not right, because it leaves A there and doesn't change the word, so I don't think it can be option 1 or 2. Okay, so let's see. B, C, D, A. So if we said you should take your own lecture notes on the printed note versions of the shortly notes. Printed versions of the shortly notes. Nah, that can't be right. Okay, fourth option. Let's look at the fourth option. Okay, so we change recover for recopy. Okay, so take your own lecture notes on the printed versions of the abridged notes, the short version of the notes. Okay, that makes sense. Perhaps with extra paper and then but instead of recover, it's recopy. Then recopy the notes neatly at a time, C, shortly after the lecture, not a long time after the lecture. Yeah, I think that one is it, isn't it? It's the last option. It's option 4. Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So now it would read like this. I recommend that you take your own lecture notes on the printed versions of the abridged notes, perhaps with extra paper, and then recopy the notes neatly at a time shortly after the lecture. Yeah, that all makes sense, I think now. That all makes sense. Okay. Let's have a look. 7. Okay, a common phenomenon. While a common phenomenon, polar vortex hits around the North Pole region, but studies have pointed to a recent increase in instances where the polar vortex has bulged down into heavily populated areas, disrupting daily life and causing major inconvenience and resulting in extreme unusual weather conditions. That all sounds correct. Maybe the first sentence is a bit strange. While a common phenomenon, polar vortex hits around the North Pole region, but some studies that doesn't sound right actually. I think I would say polar vortex hits around the North Pole region are a common phenomenon, but recent studies have pointed to a recent increase in instances where the polar vortex has bulged now. So bulge, we talk about something sort of expanding outwards, your stomach can bulge after you've eaten a lot of food. So vortex, I guess, on a map could sort of bulge downwards into heavily populated areas outside of the North Pole, disrupting daily life and causing major inconvenience. Okay, so I think the order's correct. A, B, C, D. But yeah, that first sentence doesn't sound right. And even if it were the first option there, A, B, C, D, it's changing while for whenever. Whenever a common phenomenon, polar vortex hits around the North Pole region, that doesn't make sense. I don't think it's any of the options, because the order's clearly correct. It's just that A is a very strange one, very strange word, and whenever doesn't make it work better either. I don't think it's any of those. No, I think you'd have to change the first sentence. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Okay. Number 8, Union Home Minister Amit Shah implemented 2 resolutions and a bill in the Indian Parliament on Monday that would fundamentally alter the relationship between India and the state of Jammu and Kashmir, removing special provisions unique to the state and likely throwing its politics into chaos. I think the order's okay again. That all sounded good. So A, B, C, D, I would say. Implemented and introduced. So could we change implemented for introduced? Union Home Minister Amit Shah implemented 2 resolutions and a bill in the Indian Parliament that would fundamentally... so it's conditional, right. Okay, so they would fundamentally alter the relationship between India and the state of... Yeah, okay, so it's not that they've implemented them, they've been introduced. Right, okay, so the Home Minister Amit Shah introduced 2 resolutions and a bill to the Indian Parliament on Monday. So if they were implemented, they would change the relationship between India and the state of Jammu and Kashmir, likely throwing its politics into chaos. Yeah, that sounds right. The first option there sounds right. Okay, 9 and 10. These ones are a bit strange. I don't know if there's a trick here or what it is. There's some interesting vocabulary here, at least, anyway. But it just says, say which texts are talking about the topic. And so, for example, the topic here in 9 is child labour. And there's 3 short texts, and you just have to say which ones are talking about child labour. Or I think the instruction says which passage is based on the given theme. Okay, so child labour. It says, steps should be taken to educate and help these children who are victims of child labour and securing their future instead of depriving them of their childhood. Well, that clearly is talking about child labour, isn't it? So, saying that there should be... there are some schools, institutions and organisations who have taken up the task of educating street children and getting them to enjoy their childhood like any normal child. After all, they are also Indian citizens of the Republic of India, whose constitution is for the people, of the people and by the people. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that is talking about child labour. No, it's talking about getting kids off the streets who are sometimes forced to work. It even says child labour in the first sentence. I mean, and trying to educate them. So text 1 is clearly about child labour. Okay, text 2, it says, it is important to realise that all children, even those from normal homes, are at risk from a molester's seduction techniques if they have not been trained how to deal with them. Okay, yeah, this doesn't sound like it's talking about child labour, no. It sounds like it's talking about child molesters. It's just very strange, this task, because it's... I don't know, I think this one's clearly not talking about child labour, no? It's talking about child molesters. If they have not been trained. Although all children are at risk, child molesters particularly seek out shy and naive children, children with disabilities, and children who are experiencing loneliness, emotional neglect, or strong feelings of alienation. They're not. That's nothing to do with child labour. So 2, no. Child labour exists in several forms. This is about child labour. I don't understand the task, really. This one's clearly about child labour. Child labour exists in several forms across the state and country. We see so many children who are deprived of their childhood and do not get the opportunity to enjoy life as children should do. They do not play, study, or go to school. They are striving hard to earn their living by working in roadside stalls, shops, markets, railway platforms, restaurants, dhabas, I don't know what they are, and in several households as domestic helps. Well, yeah, it's clearly talking about children working, child labour. So it's 1 and 3, clearly. Okay. Last question. Mars mission. So which of the 3 texts are talking about Mars missions? Well, number 1, so far 51 missions have been sent to Mars, to Mars, I would say, out of which only 21 have succeeded. Well, it's talking about Mars missions. The US Space Agency, NASA, is exploring this planet since... Is exploring this planet? That's not right. Has been exploring this planet since 1964. God, this is strange. NASA and other agencies sent various missions to the Mars. This is not well written at all. The rest of the test was valid. These last 2 questions are insane. I don't know. Okay. NASA and other and other agencies sent various missions to Mars to investigate habitability, its climate, and geology. The purpose of all the Mars missions, terrible, missions, of all the Mars missions is to collect the data for an eventual manned mission, that's correct actually, to this very important planet. That, my God, that seems like a child. I think a child wrote that. That's bizarre. Not an English child. Yeah. Bizarre. It's clearly talking about Mars missions, though. Okay, the advances in technology in the 20th century have allowed man to do what at one time was considered unthinkable for millenniums before. Isn't it millennia? Not millenniums. Maybe you can say millenniums as well. I don't know. With the advent of the modern space program in the early 1950s, NASA has performed many, I would say since the advent of the modern space program, NASA has performed many inconceivable feats. This is terrible writing, by the way. This good vocabulary, but I mean, it really, I think, I don't know, maybe in India they can say that. I think this is an Indian website. It doesn't sound right to me. They have sent and returned men to space. They have set up space stations orbiting the Earth. They have sent spacecraft to explore comets and other planets like Mars. Well, it mentions a mission to Mars, but is it based on a mission to Mars, that text? Probably not. So maybe not 2. Okay, 3. At first, all mankind did was look up and wonder how things became what they are now. We started to think that all celestial bodies revolved around the Earth, and the Earth was the center of the entire universe. Galileo Galilei later disproved this theory. Even with growing knowledge in the field, it was not until 1957 when the first Earth orbiter, the Soviet Sputnik 1, was sent into space and placed in orbit at an altitude of 1,370 miles. Yeah, there's no mention of a mission to Mars. I really don't understand this task. I've maybe 1 and 2, or only 1. I'm going to go only 1, because that's the only one that I think was based on a Mars mission. No? I don't know. Let's submit. Your score is 10 out of 10. Okay, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at, because I did have a few doubts. Okay. So, yeah, so this was abrogate and abjure. So it says, the verb abrogate has the following meanings: to evade responsibility or accountability, which appropriately fits Phil's sentence 3 and 1, I think, no. Yeah, abrogate its responsibility in 1, and abrogate the right of factory workers. The verb abjure means to solemnly renounce something, usually a religious belief. Yeah, more or less what I said. I'm not sure, you know. I really had a lot of doubts about this. Okay, number 2, it says this was acquiesce and accede, no? So the verb acquiesce means to be reluctant about something but agreeing to it without protest. So like in 1, when he acquiesced to his wife's decision. The verb accede has different meanings. It can mean the act of agreeing to a demand, a request, or a proposal. I thought acquiesce is okay, like means that as well. So I'm not sure. Wonder if anyone can clear it up in the comments. As if anyone's got this far into the video. Appropriately fits. Yeah, okay. Could also mean the act of assuming office or a position. Well, yeah, like accede to the throne. No? Okay. And then there's amenable or amicable. So the adjective amenable can have two different meanings. It means being open and responsive to suggestions. So to the opinions and the idea of that guy in his new job. It also means being susceptible to something. So like the bacterium to the antibiotics, they're susceptible to it. The adjective amicable means is characterized by friendliness and absence of dispute. Yeah, I said like the opposite of hostile, no? So yeah, that makes sense. An amicable separation. Okay, yield and capitulate. I'm worried about this one. And the verb capitulate means to cease to resist an opponent or an unwelcomed demand. So there was a lot of pressure on him to change his mind, to change his decision, but he stood by his decision and he didn't capitulate, yeah. The word yield has multiple meanings. As a verb, it means to produce or generate a result or outcome. To sort of obtain something. No, to generate, yeah, I think is actually a better word, isn't it? Yeah. Generate a result or an outcome. It's a good definition. As a noun, it means an amount or quantity produced of an agricultural or industrial product. Oh God, yeah. I remember reading, what was it? The most unreadable thing ever. Karl Marx's, is it Das Kapital? The Capital. It's just, he does not shut up about wheat yields. It's insufferable. He compares everything to amounts of wheat yields. Anyway. No, I'm not going through that again. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting to have a look at these words to make sure I got the explanation right. Okay, well, there you go. How did you do? I thought that was really difficult, and the last two questions were crazy, so if you didn't do too well on those, don't worry too much about it. It's particularly interesting, though, 1 to 8. 1 to 5 were the best questions. I'm not sure about the rest of the video, the other half. But anyway, hopefully we've learnt some vocabulary, some interesting words today. Or something. Or I have added some kind of value to this quiz. I hope. Okay, we've done for today. We are done. Goodbye.